When is a good time to start preparing your kids for college? Today, we have a special guest who's sharing her tips on how she prepared her daughter for college while being a single mama and working a full-time job. No matter how busy you are, there's always time to prepare your child for success. So grab your drinks, pop in those earphones, especially if you have little ears around, and let's dive right into episode 71. Cheers!
Cheers!
Okay, welcome, Melissa. We're so excited to pick your brain. Okay, so tell us about your daughter. How old is she and what college does she go to?
So she just turned 20 and she goes to University of Santa Barbara. So she goes to UCSB and she is technically in her second year, but she is going to finish early. So she only has one more year to go.
Oh
Well,
my God, you must be so proud.
I'm super proud of her. She's worked really hard to get to where she's at now. And, with COVID and her not really having a real college experience, her first year was pretty much interrupted by COVID. So she was only up at campus for, I want to say maybe 4 months, 5 months. Oh, wow. And then she came home and finished out her first year at home. And then her whole second year has been home. So she's going to go finish it out. She moves back in July.
Oh, wow.
What major is she declaring, or did she declare?
So she's a creative. So she is a film and media major.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's really, she's really involved with a lot of things on campus. And she's really, when you go to college, you start learning new things about yourself. Things that you enjoy doing that you probably didn't even think that you enjoyed doing before. And she's really found an interest in like recruitment and training. So she's part of a leadership program where they do on-campus tours. So she's been doing that since she was doing them virtually from home. So she was a part of that group, and then she's doing orientation tours. So she does interviews with the parents. The parents get to pick her brain about, their kids coming to college. So, it's really exciting for her.
So cool. Okay, so take us back. Like, what high school did she go to? Did she go to a public or a private?
She went to a public school. So she went to public school at Roosevelt High School in Eastvale. And, we moved to Eastvale actually after she finished her sixth grade year of elementary school. Oh. So she went to junior high and high school here in this area, and then elementary school in Pomona, which is actually kind of funny because we all went to the same elementary school. She went to my elementary school.
Now, was she just one of those children that automatically grasped all the things and thrived in school very quickly?
It did really come easy for her. Some kids, it just comes easy for them. And she was one of those kids. But one of the things that, I was pretty adamant about when she was young was her reading and interacting with other people, because I think that's the most important thing, especially when you're trying to prepare them, just to become good people and adults, so mostly it was because she just found a love of reading really, really early. So I think that actually helped, when she got to school.
And why was it important for you to plant the idea of college?
So I wouldn't even say that I planted the idea of college. I just kind of told her, we all have a responsibility. We all have a job. It's my job to be your mom. It's my job to take care of you. I have a job, to provide for you. And your job is to go to school. And your job is to do well in school. That's it. That's all I ask of you. So when she was in elementary school, junior high, even through high school, I pretty much just treated it like, college is next. The same way that you would treat, middle school and high school. It was never really, you have to go to college. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on kids, feeling, when your parents are telling you, you have to go to college. Mm-hmm. As important as I think it is, just how you approach your child, I think, is really what's going to make the difference when it's time for them to make a decision.
So you're saying that you just kind of had it as the next step kind of thing rather than pushing it like what college are you going to go to? You have to do
Yes.
this. Okay. So
Yeah.
so what if she decided not to go to college? Was that ever an idea or?
So, and I'll share with you, I didn't go to college. I had her very young. I was 20 when I had her, and I was a single mom. I am a single mom, and I made the choice to stop going to school to take care of her. And for her, if she would have decided not to go to school, I would have been disappointed, yes, but I don't feel that college is for every person. So I don't feel that we should pressure our children to go to school. I definitely think we need to really kind of paint the picture of what the benefits to going to college are. A lot of people, and this is obviously just my opinion, a lot of people believe, you go to college to learn all of these things, and really college is to network. College is to meet people, to network, to prepare you for the next step, to see something through. And those are, the values that you really want to instill in your children. Not necessarily you got to go there to learn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's really about seeing something through and being able to network. So that's really kind of how I positioned it to her. So I don't know. I would have been disappointed for sure, but I don't know that I would have been upset.
And at what ages would you start those kind of conversations with her?
I feel like it's a constant conversation from when they're young, so I can't necessarily say there was a particular age where we started having the conversation. I feel like it was constant. And because I'm someone that has a lot of siblings, it was a conversation with everyone, so I want to say it started very young, when she was probably in like 4th or 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you approach those type of conversations? Because I know you say you kind of just made it as it was the next step, but like, what was the dialogue that you would have with a child in the 4th grade,
Yeah, well, in the 4th grade, I think it's more about showing them, like kind of just being the example. So because I have a lot of siblings and I didn't go to school, I went to culinary school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I pretty much just told her, mommy went to a trade school. So I learned to do something, you know what I mean? So that I could provide for you.
Mm-hmm.
And my siblings, pretty much all of them went to college. So I think the conversations primarily started with them specifically about college in general. And it was more so about the experience, because I think with kids, you kind of have to get them excited, so it was more so about, we got to move away and do something on our own and become independent. So, I don't want to say that it was about academics initially. The academic portion, we didn't really get into deep conversations about academics until junior high, to be honest.
And okay, so with that said, I know like some kids are different, right? And like when we talk about college with my older son and we tell him like, you can move away. And I remember him saying like, I don't want to move. I don't want to leave, and he was scared. And then they would see college students on TV, like they were moving and it was like a sad situation. They're like, we're never going to go to college.
Yeah. And kids don't want to leave their parents, right?
Yeah. And some do. Some are so excited and then some don't. So it's like, it's kind of funny how you kind of told them that, you can be independent, and some kids react differently.
Yes. And I mean, once Jordan got a little bit older, I feel like, that's when she was kind of like, okay, I do want to go away. But when she was younger, of course, when they're young, they don't want to leave their parents. They can't even imagine, the next year, let alone, 10 years from then, and being away from their parents,
Yeah, and they're like, who's going to cook for me?
Exactly.
Wash my clothes.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to do it.
Yeah.
And how did you get her interested in the idea of college?
I wouldn't, she was pretty much, it was just part of her plan. It wasn't that there was an interest. I think she just decided, okay, I want to be, initially she kept telling me she wanted to be an actress. And I said, okay, well, you need to fall back. And I said, so because you're such a strong writer and because you're so interested in telling stories and reading, you need to think about other things that you can do, outside of acting that will keep you close enough to, entertainment. And I think that's kind of how she fell into film and media. So once we started talking about, all of the back end stuff. So yeah, you have a movie in front of you or you have a video in front of you, but what does it take to get there and who is in the background doing it? So it was the conversations about production and directors and screenwriting and those type of things. So those are specialty, type of jobs. And I think that's where the conversation started. Like, okay, well then you're going to need some additional training to do that.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And can you like elaborate on some of the steps that you did for preparing your daughter for college? Like what did you do like when she was in elementary school and in middle school and in high school?
So I would say, I don't want to say that there was a bunch of prep, to be very honest. I was a young mom. Okay. So in elementary school, I couldn't even think about her being in junior high school. I was like, how am I going to get this girl through elementary school? And let's just get her to junior high and, we're going to figure it out along the way. So really, I want to say it started primarily in junior high because that's when they were offering, like honors classes for her. And really, I just encouraged her to take all honors classes through junior high. When she got to high school, it was honors and AP classes. And really, when they're in high school and they're taking honors classes and AP classes, it's preparing them obviously for college because they're college level courses, but you also have the ability with the AP classes to get college credit, which is why she's able to graduate early because she went in with so much college credit. Wow. Before she started attending college. So I would say for sure in junior high, I would totally recommend, encouraging your children to take honors classes to prepare them for, advanced placement classes in high school. That way that they go in, ready to go. They know what to expect.
I have a question. So in junior high, I feel like that's a sticky age where they want to play video games and things like that. Was she into video games and like hanging out with her friends? And
she was definitely into video games, but she was more into reading. She just was one of those kids that she would pick up a book before she did anything else. So I just kept, so that kept her mind stimulated. And she, she wasn't really an athlete. And I know, a lot of younger kids are, they play, extracurricular sports. There's, clubs and all types of things that they're into. And Jordan just wasn't that kid. She was just someone who, she definitely spent a lot of time with her friends and she played video games. But I think teaching them early to prioritize their time is really what's key, because that's all it comes down to. By the time they get to high school and to college is how are you going to prioritize your time? So you want them to have the time to do things outside of anything that's academic. You want them to be able to have time with their friends, play their video games as a reward. I mean, maybe you position it as a reward. That's what I would tell her. Hey, make sure you get your homework done, get all of these things done, and then you can play as many video games as you want.
So did she have chores? I'm just so like, okay, tell me, when she came home from school, did you have her do her homework and then jump into chores, or like what would you have her do? What was your priorities?
So definitely homework first. Always homework first. So homework first, and then I taught her how to do her own laundry when she was really young. So she had to do her own laundry. I did not do her laundry. So that was part of her chores. She became very regimented because it was almost like a schedule. She knew she had to come home, do her homework. She got to watch TV or play video games for a little while. I would make her dinner, but she definitely I'm really particular about cleaning. So she didn't really have a bunch of cleaning chores, but it was more so I wanted her to be responsible for her things. So her room had to stay clean. That was part of her chores. She would help put dishes in the dishwasher. That was kind of her chore. But I wouldn't say that she had, major chores.
Okay, but she still helped out around the house and stuff.
Absolutely. Because if you send them off to college and they don't know how to do that, then it's a whole nother mess.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you feel like she was still able to enjoy being a kid and doing like any curricular activities, or was it just about academics? Like, how do you recommend finding a good balance for that?
I definitely think she had, a good balance of the two. Like I mentioned, she wasn't really into like sports or dance or anything like that. But she did spend time with her friends. My family's very close, so we always spent a lot of time together. And I think the balance is really just teaching them how to prioritize and kind of create a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me, that's the key, is letting them know you can do all of these things that you want to do, but you just need to be able to say, okay, maybe today I can't go hang out with my friends because I got to get this done. So just teaching them how to prioritize, I think, is probably the best thing.
And they need that in life anyway. Like as you get older, if you don't know how to prioritize your time, you could be an all over the place adult. So
right.
As far as a schedule, did you kind of keep that schedule for her, or did she have a calendar, or how did she create that schedule? I want methods.
Yeah, no, she had her own calendar.
Okay.
So she had her own calendar. I set expectations. This is what needs to get done. You know how many days there are in the week. You know when I want to have something done, so you figure out when you're going to get it done. Okay. I know I probably was a stickler, but it was just me. So
I love it.
had to be that way.
Yeah.
How old would you say she was when that routine took place? Like, was she still like in elementary school, or did you start that routine in junior high?
It was probably closer to junior high before it really became like a regimen. You know what I mean? Like she, you want to start early, but she didn't start to do it on her own until she got to junior high. Okay. And then it was like, okay, on Thursdays I do laundry. On this day, I mean, she kind of had, she kind of still has the same routine. Yeah. Yeah.
And if she didn't do her routine, or, what kind of discipline? I know this is completely off topic, but
it's fine.
I really want to make sure it stayed. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what kind of discipline would happen, or consequences would she have if she didn't do all the things that she needed to do?
So she, video games, I would take them away, take away video games, TV time, anything like that. But what I quickly learned is that didn't really work for her, because she preferred to read anyway. Right. So I think it's really about the one thing that they really enjoy, and just treat it like it's a privilege. Like, I bought you these books. I don't have to buy you these books. That's kind of how I disciplined her. Oh. I don't have to buy you all of these books. I don't have to, you might want pizza tonight for dinner. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to spend money on pizza tonight for dinner. You're going to eat something maybe you don't care to eat, so it really just became, meets, not, I don't want to necessarily say take away, but showing her that these are things, I'm here to provide the bare minimum, you know what I mean? So these are luxuries for you. Yeah. So they can be taken away at any time. Don't expect it. Yeah.
I like
that. Mm-hmm. And how did she decide which college she wanted to go to?
So she actually just started applying, and as much as I wanted to be a part of this process and select the schools that she was going to go to, she kind of just was like, I don't want to go there. I threw out all of these schools, and she's like, no, Mom, I don't know that I want to go there. I really, wanted her to go to an HBCU. That's something I wanted to do that I didn't get to do. So, it was me kind of projecting what I didn't get to do onto her. So, but she knew she wanted to stay in California. So I think that's where it started. She's like, I'm going to stay in California. I don't want to move too far away. And then really, she just started picking schools, and this may not be, the best thing to do, but I know that she just started picking schools where she found the most interesting, so we took a college tour. Her and I, we flew up to San Francisco. I rented a car, and then we did college tours for every college. We drove down all the way from San Francisco. So we started at Berkeley, we went to Stanford, we went to Santa Cruz, we went to UCSB, San Luis Obispo. Like we just stopped at all the schools, drove all the way down. She had already done some college tours locally, like the UCLA, some of the Cal States, that type of stuff. And I think she just kind of like got a feel for where she could see herself. And that's where she kind of just narrowed it down to, okay, I'm going to apply to, a few UCs. And then definitely she had a couple Cal States. Obviously, it's a lot more competitive now, I feel, than it once was. It is definitely more competitive now than it once was because, before it was all about SAT scores or ACT scores, or do you have a 4.0? Every kid has a 4.0 now, or a 4.5. I mean, it's super competitive. So it's not just about the academics. It's about everything else that they're doing and how they multitask. Like, are they involved in these extracurricular activities and maintaining good grades?
Okay.
So I think when you're applying for college, you kind of have to be strategic about, the majors that you're choosing when you're applying. And so those are things that we kind of took into consideration when she was applying, but she just kind of narrowed it down based on how she felt when she was on the campus. She knew immediately, like, for example, Santa Cruz, she got on campus, she said, I am not walking through the forest to go to class. Like, I am not going to do it. This is not going to be me,
So when you said that you took tours, did you make appointments and schedule tours, or did you guys just tour the campus on your own?
No, so a couple of them we toured on our own, but the ones that I already knew she kind of had an interest in, we scheduled tours. So we went on tours with like other families, kind of like an orientation tour. And we toured the campus, asked questions, that type of stuff.
Okay.
Can you explain the application process for us?
Yeah, so it starts their junior year. Well, junior year is when you get the applications in. So in the fall of their junior year of high school is when you get all those applications in. So applications.
I'm sorry, I'm getting stressed out right
I
now.
know, girl, get ready. So
I have a 15-year-old and it's coming. And I'm just like,
it's gonna come faster than you can even imagine. I mean, I can't even believe she's 20 years old, but it starts their junior year. So they'll put in their applications in the fall. It's usually, I want to say September, if I remember correctly. September or October is when the applications are due. And then you find out in March. Oh, no, actually, it's not their junior year. Junior year is when you want to get all of their, I don't know if they require SAT anymore.
Yeah. Oh, did they when she was in school,
because with COVID, I think that it changed a little bit. ACT and SAT, they took them away. It wasn't a requirement. It was just something that could help you, but it wouldn't deter you from being able to get accepted. So I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Junior year, obviously, you want to be sure they start taking, or they have at least take some practice tests ahead of time. Like sophomore year is when Jordan took her first SAT like practice test. And then she took the SATs her junior year so that she had them out of the way. It's one of those things like, you think you have all this time, but it's like, let's just get it out of the way. And if maybe they don't get a score that is, what they were expecting to get, they have an opportunity to take it again and it not be the final score that's being submitted to the colleges. So I'm sorry, the applications will start senior year. They'll submit their applications in the fall. They find out probably around March or April where they were accepted. So the applications, so there's several of them. So if you're, let's say, since we're in California, if you want to apply to the University of California, the UC system, for any University of California school, there's one application. So it's one application and you can select which California universities you want to apply to. Depending on your major, there might be some additional, application steps that you need to take. So for her, since she was film and media, for some of these, she had to submit a portfolio of her work. Yeah, she had to submit a portfolio. So it kind of just depends on what the major is, what the additional requirements are. But the application itself for that is individual. And I want to say it's the same thing for the Cal States. So for Cal States, it's one application, and then you can select whichever schools you want to go to. So when you start talking about private schools, so for example, she applied to Stanford as it's a private school. Mm-hmm. So that was a whole separate application. And then every application has a fee. So make sure that you are prepared to pay the fees for these. And I want to say we spent a few $100s on applications. She applied to, I want to say maybe 9 to 10 schools. 9 to 10
and
schools.
And they're $100 each?
They're about $100 each.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Some, yeah, they're pretty pricey.
Information.
I want to say they're about $100 each. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I want to say they're somewhere around $100 each, between $100 and $200.
Okay.
Is what I would say. So, yeah, like once you get those applications in, then it's just a waiting game.
So, did she, okay, so I know she excelled really well in school. Was there any subject that she needed like extra tutoring on or anything like that you guys had to get outsourced?
I think her one, and I don't want to call it a weakness, but I think that some kids are just better at certain subjects. Like either you're good at math or you're good in English, or you know what I mean? It's kind of really one or the other. And I want to say math was probably the one subject that she struggled. I don't even want to say struggled because she still did well, but it was the one subject that she did need additional help. But we didn't take her out. I didn't put her into any tutoring. She just utilized the resources she had available at school. And I think a lot of the kids, they don't want to ask for help. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go to their teacher. They don't pay attention when they're in class, when they say, hey, I have these extra hours to tutor, or you can come after school so I can show you what we did in class. And that's really what she did. So there wasn't a need to, put her into any tutoring outside of school.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's the parents' responsibility to cover the cost of college? This can be a controversial.
And it really can. And it's funny because I have this conversation, with my girlfriends. We were having this conversation when she was getting closer to college age, because her parents didn't pay for her to go to college, and she was saying she didn't think that she was going to make her child pay for college. And so my opinion is that if you're able, the parents should pay for college. And the reason why I say that is because I think that it is still part of an extension of our responsibility to set our kids up for success, which is why I say, we take on the responsibility. Now, if you're not able to, that's just a whole nother, that's something else. That's another conversation. But I also believe that if there's a child that's paying for themselves to go to school, it's going to make them work that much harder. They're going to be that much more determined, hopefully, to, get in there, do what they have to do and finish, because we already know they're not going to be able to pay for school until they're done and they are able to find a job. I feel like it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on them. And I think it kind of also depends on the child, because putting that type of pressure on them, could work in your favor, or it may not, you know what I mean? So for me, I am paying for her to go to school. Definitely, obviously there's lots of resources. There's financial aid. There are scholarships, which scholarships is something that I think even you should start now. I know, Janelle, you have like younger kids, but there's scholarships that they can apply to now. You know what I mean? And it's pretty much just money that's being held on to until it's time for them to go to college. So, it could be a one-page essay. And it could be, even if it's like a small amount, $100 or $200 or something like that, depending on how many of them they're writing. And if they start now, that's a good amount of money to save for them when they're ready to go to school.
Wow. So with that said, how do we just Google scholarships in our area, or how does that even work?
Okay, so and I'm sorry, I'm going to pull this out because I have it in my notes because I wanted to make sure I gave it to you guys. So, I have a sister and a brother in that work both in education, so those were huge resources to me. So iGrad is one of the, if you just Google it, you can look up iGrad and there's some scholarships there. CollegeNet, NET, and then scholarships.com and FastWeb.
Okay, hold on. Scholarships.com
Fastweb
and FastWeb. Okay, and we will link everything in the show notes. FastWeb. Okay, cool. And then, okay, so when would you recommend to start saving? Like a parent should start saving for college, like once
Right
they're
away,
born.
in the womb, right away.
exactly.
Once you get the idea that you're going to be a parent.
I mean, I feel like you can never start saving soon enough. Again, I'm speaking in hindsight, right? Because I had my daughter young. I wasn't in a position to really save money for her for a long time when she was young.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely would recommend, even if you have a baby, definitely start saving right away.
And
sure.
even if it's like $50 every paycheck, and then you progress over time, but just anything will
help, because the thing is there's so many expenses with college. So we think about this huge number for tuition, right? So for example, UC Santa Barbara for tuition for 1 quarter. So there's 3 quarters in a year, and for 1 quarter, it's almost $5,000. So that's $15,000 per year that you're paying just in tuition. So aside from that, if your child's going to live on campus, you can add another about $5,000, you know what I mean, every quarter for them to have a meal plan and to live on campus. And then on top of that, they have books, they have lab supplies. So, I mean, you could easily be spending about $35,000 a year for your kid to go to college, 4 years of that, So obviously financial aid is a huge, resource. I definitely think everyone should apply for it, because you just don't know, even if it's a little bit of money, every little bit of money helps. Yeah. And the financial aid process is very simple. It's something that you do every year. It's an application the parents do every year. And then they give you an award letter to let you know, okay, this is what you qualify for. So within a financial aid award letter, it'll also tell you if your child's available or eligible, I should say, to do work study so that they can make some additional money while they're on campus. But it's definitely something that you have to prepare for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And is that still called FAFSA, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I could link that?
Yes.
And do you recommend student loans? What are your thoughts on student loans?
Such a touchy subject, student loans. We're all over here trying to get Biden to forgive our student loans. So I would say if you have to get a student loan, I mean, you have to, right? Mm-hmm. If there's a way to do it without student loans, definitely do it. I have been put in a position where I am fortunate enough to work for a company that has afforded me the ability to not have to get loans for her to go to school. But it's expensive. Like, school is expensive. So I think only borrow what you need, because if you have to get a loan, sometimes they're like, okay, this is what you qualify for. And there's a lot of students who will live off of the student loan, but once you get out of school and you get hit with that interest and you're paying off student loans for the rest of your life, it's just not worth it, So I think only borrow what you absolutely need if you have to take loans. So
and that said, do you feel like you borrow, instead of like foreseeing, okay, I'm going to be here for 4 years and I'm going to borrow the full 4-year tuition, are you saying to borrow only 1 year at a time kind of tuition? Or
so if you do a FAFSA, let's say, if you do a FAFSA with your child, it is an annual process. So you do the FAFSA every single year. And so every year they will tell you, okay, this is what you're eligible for. So I would say only take what you need for that year, because it is every year. And I mean, it'll make a world of difference. And if you're able to, there's obviously different types of loans. So there are some loans that, okay, let's see, you guys are really testing me now. So there's what is it called when it's, oh my goodness, the federal loans where there's no interest while your child is in school.
Subsidized, and then the unsubsidized.
Subsidized and unsubsidized. I'm so sorry, I forgot.
Nope, that's okay.
Very good. So you want to do the unsubsidized is the loan that will not bear interest while your child is in school. So if you have a choice, that is the one that you want to utilize, is the unsubsidized loan. And then if you're able to make payments to that unsubsidized loan while they're in school, definitely do that, because then you're only paying for what you borrowed. You're not paying for any interest. And then subsidized obviously is going to be interest bearing throughout the course of school.
Now for unsubsidized loans, say they got their degree and they were just taking a couple classes or one class, would that be considered them still in school, or do they have to meet a certain criteria of like units, like, or be a full-time student for them to start adding the interest, or not add the interest?
On the terms of the loan.
I think it just depends on the terms of the loan. I don't think you necessarily have to have 12 units per se. I think as long as they're enrolled and active, that you can still take advantage of the benefit of not getting those the interest.
That's good to know. I feel like I'd take a class for like until I pay it off,
Right. And then as soon as you're done, and those payments aren't due until, well, you're going to start getting payments 6 months after they graduate. So, or if they decide, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore, 6 months after that date, it's time for you to start making payments.
Okay.
Also,
so you were saying with the financial aid, the FAFSA, that's where you get your student loan from, is through FAFSA? Okay. See, I didn't know that. Oh, that's good information.
Well, that's how you get a federal student loan.
A federal one.
Yes. So in some cases, maybe someone doesn't qualify for enough money through the federal, for a federal loan. So then there will be a private loan that you would have to apply for. And if that's the case, then that's something that you're borrowing right now. You're getting interest right now. You need to make payments right now. So that probably, that's why you want to save some money, so that you're not put in a position where you have to take a private loan.
Okay.
And did Jordan receive any grants or scholarships?
She did. So she received a scholarship directly from the school, an academic scholarship from the school that covers a portion of her tuition. And she also she gets a grant every year, actually. So as long as she maintains a certain GPA, she's given a grant as well.
And okay, so the academic scholarship, is that because she applied for it at her school, or is that because she met a certain standard?
There was a scholarship that was available to her, and there were certain criteria that she needed to meet. So she met the criteria, and they actually offered her.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And who tells you about those? Is it your counselor, your guidance counselor, that will tell you about the scholarships that you could apply for within the school itself?
If you have a good one, I would definitely say, when we think about our kids going to high school and having like a high school counselor who should be a resource for some of these things, a lot of times they don't have all of the answers. You would hope that they do. And, I don't want to badmouth any, counselors, but I just know that, we should definitely just utilize all resources available to us. So if you're not getting what you need from the high school counselor or from somebody at the school, I would say look elsewhere, because there's definitely, companies that have programs where you can do some college preparatory work. They'll help you with the applications. They'll help you with FAFSA. They'll help you go through the whole process, so you don't feel like kind of like, what am I supposed to do?
Do you know any off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I mean, I don't want to give my brother's name, because I'm sure he doesn't want everybody calling him. But he was and the only reason why I say that is because he was my resource.
Or he company, like what company is he affiliated with?
It's through his school. So
through the school. So with that said, do you recommend parents to be more involved with meeting with the guidance counselor in high school and to find out like we're on the same page?
I definitely encourage that, because kids aren't always going to remember what they were told. They're not taking notes. They're not really able to articulate exactly what came from that counselor. And I don't want to say all kids, but a lot of times you're not getting all of the information that you need. Or they can't ask the right questions, all of the questions that you need answered. So I definitely would say be involved in that process too.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And when should our children start applying for scholarships?
Now.
No.
Now. Right now. If they can apply,
elementary school ages, there's scholarships that they could apply for.
There are scholarships for every age student. So if you can find scholarships where they can, I mean, sometimes they're even just $50 or, small scholarships where they can do it now, like every little bit will help. For sure.
There's like a lot of different scholarships that you wouldn't even think you can get a scholarship for, and there's scholarships.
Oh, I heard of one. It was called like the prom duct tape dress. Like you make a dress out of duct tape and you like submit it.
All kinds
you
of
submit it for a scholarship. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, and also keep in mind there's scholarships for, I mean, literally, like you said, anything that you could possibly think of. If you, have a minority child, like there's specific to like women, there's specific to, African American, Asian, like there's all different types of scholarships. So honestly, you do have to do the research, but they're definitely out there.
And as far as the grants that she received, she applied for those grants too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the difference between a grant and a scholarship?
It's actually pretty similar, but the grants are just free money that's given to you, right? A lot of times grants don't require any additional work. And I don't know if maybe you want to, Tori, if you want to say, is there something that you know better than that? Because I want to say, okay, I thought you were giving me like, I don't know. But the grants is definitely just free money that's kind of given to you. Scholarship, I know that there's that back end work, so you have to apply for it.
Okay.
So for grants, I don't believe that there's an application. I don't recall Jordan doing an application for grants. And
do the grants come from the college itself, or?
Her grant specifically did come from the college, yes.
Okay, so I wonder if it's if you keep up a certain GPA, then the college itself will grant you. Oh, yes. They will grant you money.
Yes.
And there's your grant.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think the state does grants too.
I've never got a grant.
Do you recommend the dorm life experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's just part of the whole college experience is for them to go away, become independent, meet new people. And they can't really, I feel like it's a completely different experience than, commuting to school. Mm-hmm. So if they're able to stay on campus, I would definitely say stay on campus.
Do you feel like with her moving that when she came back, she appreciated you more because of all the things that you have done for her throughout her life, and now she has to do it on her own?
I do think that there was a different level of appreciation for sure, because, as moms, we're always going to do a little extra to make our kids comfortable. So, I would send her little care packages, and then, I would always say, oh, well, I felt like you were getting a little homesick, when really it was like, mom needs to come see you. So I would pop up on her.
That's really what it was.
I totally would pop up on her. But yeah, there is a different level of appreciation because they get a home cooked meal when they're home. You're a little bit more accommodating when they've been gone for a little while, and then they come back. So, we've always had a really good relationship, but I definitely think that made us a little bit closer.
And do you feel like maturity level, like you know, because when you move from out of home, like you kind of have to
You're
grow
out
of
up.
grow
You
up,
know,
yeah.
you're an adult. Yeah. Did you kind of see her as now
That
she went from this
transformation.
to, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's even when I look at her today, I just can't even believe that's my child, you know, because she's a woman, you know, she's a woman, and you it definitely you get a little bit emotional about it because it's kind of like, you know, like you did this, like this is kind of like
Your masterpiece. You know?
yes, yes. So it's still, I mean, I don't even have words because it is really truly something you don't really you can't put it into words until you see them. Like you see them being successful, you see them thriving, you see them doing things, you know, that they want to do, like especially now, like kids, I don't know if they're like Gen Zers, right? They're Gen Zers now. So they're so aware of
Culture.
everything around them. And, you know, just to see her so passionate about a million things, you know, and have an opinion, it's really interesting once they get to this age, you know?
Yeah.
Did you experience the empty nest syndromes? Or
Um,
no?
for, so yes, yes.
Was
So
it nice?
I mean, yes, it is nice, but I definitely missed her for sure. I missed her, and I mean, she's only one. You know, I only have one, so you know, and it's always been her and I. So, you know, she was just we were always together. You know, she's attached to my hip, so I definitely missed her for sure. But it is nice, you know, to be able to kind of do things without having to think about somebody else. You know, you can just go, or if you want to eat ice cream for dinner, you're gonna have ice cream for dinner. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about a nutritious meal for your kids. So it definitely is nice. But I for sure I missed her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about students working while going to school?
I think so I don't necessarily encourage working full time while they're going to school. I think it's, you know, it kind of takes away a little bit of the focus unless it is something in the same field as what they're studying and kind of what they want to do, because experience, in my opinion, trumps everything else. So if it's like an internship or something like that, I definitely encourage that. But working maybe like a part-time job, like on campus or something where it's very little hours per week, I definitely encourage that. I mean, it's just another level of responsibility that they have, you know, managing money and really prioritizing their money, saving money. So, I mean, it's just another lesson, right? I mean, I feel like that's all that we're here as parents to do, is to teach them all of these lessons and show them how to apply the lessons we've taught them. And you know, I think it's good if it's in moderation, for sure.
And as far as like on-campus jobs, I like that idea because you kind of keep them grounded with the school and that environment too, you know. How do they find out about on-campus jobs? Is that through their guidance counselor too?
So the schools are very, I mean, they make everything available to the students. So there's like job postings, there are, you know, student resource centers that they can go to. They can speak to a counselor that might have something that's available, because I know even some of her professors share opportunities that are available, you know, outside of the school. So when they're on campus, it is a little community. So they definitely have that community feel, and they have the ability to kind of network, and they find all the information is readily available to them when they're on campus. It's really about them just being able to go out and find it. You know, I don't want to say find it, but they just have to be proactive in getting the information.
Okay, got it.
So having gone through this experience, is there anything you've learned along the way that you would have done differently for preparing her for college?
I don't know necessarily if there's anything that I mean, there's things that I would have done differently. I don't know that I could have done them differently. You know what I mean? Like I said, everyone's situation is different, and we just do the best that we can. You know, so I definitely think we probably would have applied for more scholarships earlier. I think I was a little bit disconnected with the scholarships. It was kind of like, oh, get on here, find some scholarships, and I tried to get her to do some research on her own. I probably should have been a little bit more involved with that so that we could probably get some more scholarship money. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like we, as parents, we just figure it out, right? Like, as much as we want to plan for things to go a certain way, it's never going to be exactly how you planned it. So I don't really have any, there's not really anything that I would do differently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's in a good position, you know what I mean? And her and I have both learned along the way. And, as much as I feel like I kind of just figured it out, the fact that we're sitting here talking and Janelle's like, oh my gosh, yeah, let me jot that down. I'm like, okay, at least I told her something that
You had all kinds of good information. So, okay, with all of that, how is she graduating early? Did she take double the amount of classes that she needed to?
Classes.
Oh, the AP classes. So from
classes.
freshman year, her first classes were AP classes, or when did she start taking AP classes?
So she had honors classes her freshman year. They don't have AP classes until your sophomore year. And there's, the schools will have limitations on how many or when they can take them. So sophomore year is when AP classes start. And then it's really only one, I believe, that they can take in their sophomore year. And then once they become juniors and seniors, that's when they can take multiple AP classes. But the key with AP classes is they have to take the test. So some people take the AP class, but they do not take the AP test. And if you don't take the AP test, you don't get the college credit.
There you go. That's the golden ticket.
That's the golden ticket.
And as hard as they are, they're obviously they have to pass with a certain a certain grade. So it goes from 1 to 5, I think. 5 is the highest. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, depending on the school, because it varies, if they get a 4 or 5, it gives them it pretty much eliminates, it could eliminate a whole prerequisite that they have to meet in their GE. So it just kind of it just depends on the school, though. So in her case, she did really well on most of her tests. She passed all of them, but some of them she did really well. So she went in really with only a couple GE classes that she needed to take. So that's why she's able to finish early. So she does have to kind of increase her units for this last year. So she'll do 17 units as opposed to 12 or 15. Okay. But I mean, it's totally doable. There's some kids that are doing 18, 21 units in a quarter. I don't know how, but they are.
Does Jordan have a part-time job?
So she works as a tour guide. So she's on the leadership board for the school's tour guides. So she gives now virtual because she's home, but she does virtual tours. So even if one of you wanted to sign up for a tour of the campus, she could be one of your leaders and she would take you guys on a tour, answer questions. And then she also is part of they call it O staff. So it's orientation. So she's going to do the orientation all throughout this summer too.
And so she gets paid for that.
She gets paid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
now, in high school, did she go to summer school so that she could also earn extra credits?
She didn't go to summer school.
So it's not necessary.
No summer school. The only thing she did was the AP classes and honors classes.
We may need to talk to Jordan about that. Yeah. My son he's going to be doing AP classes for his sophomore year, and I'm like,
awesome. Yeah. It's a lot of work for them. I mean, they really have to stay focused and dedicated to what they're doing. If they don't have the focus, it's just going to be hard. And so he has to start with good habits now, because it's just going to get harder junior year and senior year. You know what I mean? With the additional AP classes.
For college classes, they offer summer school. Did she take classes in the summer as well, or would she come home during those vacation times?
So last summer, she definitely took one class. It was virtual because we were in COVID. So she did take a virtual class last summer, but and this summer she will take, I want to say, 2 classes. But I think it's just to kind of keep her on track so she doesn't have a huge load the next few quarters since she's going to finish in spring. That way she can do like 15 units instead of 17.
Okay. And so we know like her graduating is a huge positive, but at the same time with you, you didn't have to take loans out, right? Because I was going to say, because then that would
that's a huge savings. So if you're in a position where your child can finish early, I mean, let's say I was paying or I had to take loans or whatever the case may be, that would be an additional 30 if she was on campus. Like, let's say if it was the regular. So it would be like a savings of $35,000 because that's one whole year that she didn't have to go to school. However, if you did take loans, anything that you took out is going to be due 6 months later. So if she finishes next spring, by the end of next year, I would have to start making payments towards her loans.
And it's not a lump sum. It's a payment plan, right? It's not like they expect you to pay the whole thing off.
Yeah, it's just a payment plan. And honestly,
would be in college.
Listen, the federal government, they package it up to make it look great. Like, oh, you're only gonna have to pay, like, there's these little small payments, but they are, the interest on those loans.
I'm telling you, I literally just paid off my student loan a few weeks ago.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated, oh my God, in 2006.
See?
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And I just got a letter and I was like, oh my God, I feel so excited, but I can't believe it.
It's a whole nother accomplishment,
Well, thank you, Melissa, so much. I feel like you had so much good information.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you guys having me join you. I was really a little bit nervous about giving you, because I definitely had a lot of help, like I said, from my brother as far as, getting her prepared for college. I have, like, the support of my family definitely is a huge thing. So as long as your kids have the support of everybody else around them, they're going to do well.
That village. Village is amazing.
It is. It literally takes a village. My village is huge. So
you guys are blessed to have such big villages.
Thank you.
Not everybody has a big family, so
it's true. It's true. It's true.
Or that support system. So that's good. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you want to catch up on our previous episodes, visit mamasmimosas.com, where you'll get access to all of our podcast show notes, our YouTube videos, and our private Facebook group where we chat with you about each episode and host live Q&A with our favorite mom tribe. Can't wait to see you there.